As long as he admits that he's learned he made a mistake, which it kind of sounds like he has, from the players coming out and him speaking a little bit, I think he understands it was a risk. And if he's learned from that mistake, we keep him. But if he hasn't learned from that mistake, we won't win anything with it. Because like you said, you can't defend and win, and you shouldn't defend and win. I think that's the big point, is you shouldn't have that mentality. You shouldn't go that way to win. It's not respectable. It's not how you want to win. If we won defending for that long and did it again in the final, I wouldn't be impressed. You'd say, yeah, fuck it, we won. But you wouldn't be so proud. Whereas you do look at the Mexican game, Mexico game, and you do look at the Norway game. Sure, we defended, but it was in the last bits, and there was reasons for it. This one seemed a bit panicky, a bit ridiculous. But at the end of the day, it is a fascinating thing, a positive thing, because it does bring the country together. It does bring everyone together. These last two coaches have uplifted football for England, have inspired us in a sense and give us hope. We all want to watch. We all want to go out and watch it in the pub and turn up to fan zones and chant and celebrate and be passionate and beep as you're walking down the street because you're an England fan. It has uplifted things, and if we keep that momentum, it is only time. We are knocking on the door, and if we carry on, we will win. That's the positive you can take from it. We just have to learn from our mistakes, which I don't know if we did from the last time. I thought we might have with the manager we put in place, but it doesn't seem like the result shows that. But he might learn. He might go for it. At the end of the day, this is his first international tournament on a big scale like this. The pressure. It's the first time for a lot of the players as well to be under this amount of pressure, to be in this circumstance. Thanks for watching. Thanks for clicking on the video. Just want to let you know I also post on Spotify, so give it a listen over there if you don't finish it on here. I also do the best bits on YouTube, Shorts, TikTok, Instagram, so check those out if you fancy it. But yeah, enjoy. So this morning we're going to talk about the World Cup, because last night England went out, unfortunately. It was a sad night. Whole country was very hopeful for something good to happen. But once again, we're disappointed, which seems to be typical. But I do want to start off by talking about the positives, because if you compare us now to the last World Cup and the Euros, I would say we're a better team. I think the manager doesn't necessarily match, but he's done well. But if you look at the players and you look at the squad and you compare who's in it in comparison to the last squads, you look at the new names who turned up and have performed. And I think against Argentina, they did perform. I think first half, they did extremely well. They managed the game. They played well against the tactic of Argentina of being dirty. They didn't give in to it. They didn't get emotional. They were diving like the Argentina players would do. That's what they were trying to entice us into. Trying to entice us into fouling, getting booked, having the pressure put on us, getting the midfield booked, the players who mark Messi, so they then can't foul it. Tactically, they are a great team, prioritising this one player. Don't get me wrong, there are other players in that team that do well. It's not just for him, but he is a big factor in there, Messi. I thought we did well. And then we score, and it was about 50, 60 minutes in. It was actually before they scored and after they scored. I thought he should have took Gordon and Rodgers off and had a bit more freshness in in the attack. And especially after we scored, obviously hindsight is fucking phenomenal. But I did think when we was watching the game, we needed fresh legs up front. You know, we all know what we did wrong. We all know we shouldn't have sat back in defending and we should have gone for a second. But it is easier said than done, because that one goal, it took us a while to get it. There was a very tactical game and tactical battle going on in that first half that I don't think we can forget. And the positives are, we held our own in that first half. We did. Maybe after the first water break, it got a little bit in their favour, but we still held our own. And I think that's impressive, because let's not doubt Argentina. They're not who they were, but they're still a great team. And I think if you look back at the start of the tournament on the criticism of the players that he brought, I don't think there's a doubt on the players. After losing this game, there is no doubt saying you shouldn't have brought Spence. You shouldn't have brought Dan Burn. You shouldn't have brought O'Reilly, Anderson. These sort of players, I don't think you can say you shouldn't have brought them, which is a positive, because he seemed to have picked the right squad. The squad that works. Sure, there might have been more positives if you took Palmer, if you took Maguire, if you played Mainu. I do think he should have played Mainu at some point. I actually think this game was perfect for him to play Mainu. Instead of sitting back in defending, I think control that midfield and bring on some fresh attackers. And your defence is in your midfield. Your block is in your midfield, maybe. I don't know. Like Tuchel has said, everyone becomes a manager once you've lost. And I think we've got to remind ourselves that everything works when you're winning. Everything is the right idea when you're succeeding. And yeah, we sat back against Mexico. We sat back against these other teams when it got tough. And we really defended ourselves and we looked strong. That is facts. So it works when it wins. It works when it's a success. But when it doesn't, it is a disaster, and it's blamed on the coach, the manager. And I think that is very accurate, and that is very true in life. That you've got to look at the decisions that you're making and see, are they tactically correct in your own life? Are they the right decision? And don't base it off just winning. And if I'm honest, I think if we look at that decision of sitting back against Mexico and sitting back against Norway to defend, I don't think it is the right decision. I don't think it's the best option. I think it worked, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's the right option. Maybe against Mexico because you're down to 10 men. And you could apply a little bit to Norway because everyone's knackered and you've not got this fast pace because it's so hot and humid. There's these reasons. I think it works against those teams because they've not got as big of a threat attacking wise. I think where the downfall is when it comes to Argentina, the threat is unbelievable. And that's what happens when you play these top teams. That's where I think it changes. Because the threats, the risk is higher. And I think that's only a factor you learn when you play against more of these top teams. When you lose more of these finals, the final stages, when you lose these, you get these disappointments. The thing they have to do is seriously look at where did we go wrong? Because if we continue this defensive mindset, this scared mindset, you won't win. These teams that win these tournaments are bold, are outgoing, get it in the dying minutes, have passion. They really go for it, or they're extremely organised. You look at Germany when they were winning the World Cup, and you'll look at these teams like Spain who are dominating. They're organised. It's boring to watch, absolutely boring to watch. We can't doubt that Argentina versus England was a fantastic game to watch. Tactically, emotionally, And the talent that was on show in the game, it was a great semi-final, which is good for the game. Compared to when these teams become organised and it's a bit more controlled and steady and boring, you've got to give props to both the teams for at least going for it a little bit. You got to give props for Argentina for going for it as well, like they have in these past games. And I think another positive you can take from this is it's another lesson learned in the dire stages of the game. Now, I don't think we need to learn any more, and we shouldn't, but it is another lesson. I mean, you look at Messi. His last World Cup was the first World Cup he'd won. And how many World Cups has he turned up to? And it's not easy. It's not easy to win a World Cup. There's so many factors, and the positives you can take are we performed well under the heat in the last game. We performed well under the pressure in the Mexico game. We conquered, and we come up against the adversity, and we conquered it. We did well, tactically as well, we did well. And the players did turn up. Now, obviously, there's certain improvements you can make. But like I said, look at the difference of the squads from this World Cup to the last World Cup. And that should give you hope for the future, because I think with England, the panic is from the golden era. The panic is that we've got to win now, because this is when the great players are here. We have to win now because they're going to go, and we're not going to have that opportunity. And I understand if you're a team like Portugal that can think like that, because you've got this great Ronaldo and you've got these great players in the squad that can sort of disappear, and you've not got much left after it. But I think for England, you can see that from this World Cup to the last World Cup, we had a stronger squad, and it's only got stronger. And this World Cup, there are players that you would not say would be in this World Cup. So we're obviously producing great talent. We're obviously got these players in high positions doing bits. So be hopeful for that. Don't be so desperate. I think the fans also represent or reflect English football. We're a bit dire. We're a bit desperate to win. Obviously, it's been 60 years since we last won it. That's why we are desperate. But I think in that situation, in this game that's just happened, if we were less desperate, it's a weird one, because if it was less desperate, we wouldn't sit back. But if we was more desperate, actually, in a sense, we would attack. We would not feel safe with a 1-0. You can never feel safe with 1-0. As a United fan, we know that you can't just sit back. The amount of games that we've played where it's gone wrong because we've sat back, you just could not do it. And I think it is a mentality thing of desperation just to get through. And I don't think those teams win or should win the World Cup when you're being desperate and you're sitting back. We can criticise the smaller teams, the lower teams at the beginning of the tournament who sit back when we attack. It's unattractive, it's desperate. But then when we do it, you get punished, and you should get punished, because you shouldn't sit back with the potential that we have. And you saw it when he brought Rashford and Tony on, because these players come on and we attack, and they're hardly even in our half. And if we just did that, and maybe we could have sat back for the last 10 minutes, but the last 20 minutes and the last 30 minutes of, the last 30 minutes was a bit dire. They were on us. And the last 20 minutes, we just invited them more. And we all know that was the wrong thing to do. We should solidify it, because we need to remember to not have this mindset. We need to remember to not do this, because this is not what wins you the big tournaments, I personally believe. And I don't think it's the things that win you things in life, to be desperate I think being desperate in pursuits, it doesn't work. Sure, you've got the odd occasion where it does, but I think the majority of the time, desperation isn't the way. You need to be calm and controlled. And what happens is, when you're calm and controlled, your true self flourishes. Applying it to life, applying this moment that's happened to England to life, we can see that you shouldn't be on the defensive for that amount of time. In life, you should flourish. In life, you should attack things. You should go for things that you want. And it's hard to believe that these players in the squad, like Bellingham, would be happy to sit back and defend. And sure, it is necessary sometimes, but I think it's the amount of time we did it and the opponent, because they're so dangerous. Why would you invite a team like that to come at us when they were already coming at us and being a threat? And they've got all this evidence of scoring and pushing for late goals and for really turning the games. Why would you invite that on us? And not only that, but we was only 1 goal up. I would get it if we were 2 goals up. I would. It would still be risky, and I wouldn't want it to happen, but I would understand it more. But 1 goal up and you're 6 at the back. As soon as they score 1 goal, you are done for. You're done for because you've now not got a chance to win in extra time. And obviously the risk that you take is that it doesn't go to extra time. That's the reward, should I say. And the risk is that you're not prepared for it if they do score. And can I just say, bollocks to this bronze final. I don't think anyone wants us to see that. It's just another friendly, and I think that's why the World Cup and the Euros for most teams are a big occasion, because a lot of the games that they play internationally are friendlies and they mean nothing. Where these competitions mean so much, they increase this passion. I guess these games are necessary in a sense. But I think if you look at the next World Cup, I think if you're talking about great players, and we're mentioning Bellingham is a great player, you would hope that he will last 8 more years. These great and these big players, these Modric's, these Ronaldos and Messi's, who make it to multiple World Cups, this is what makes them great, because they last, and they last at that level. And that's what will show if Bellingham is truly a great player, is he will last and he will have another World Cup. And the lessons that he's learned off the back of the last World Cup, the last Euros, this World Cup, and what will be the next Euros. I mean, this puts us in good stead for the next Euros, because the players we've got aren't old in a sense that our squad should change drastically. It will only change drastically like it has this year because of another manager if we get one in. And I'm not sure if we should get one in, because he still got us to a semi-final. I think as long as he admits that he's learnt he made a mistake, which it kind of sounds like he has, from the players coming out and him speaking a little bit, I think he understands it was a risk. And if he's learnt from that mistake, we keep him. But if he hasn't learnt from that mistake, we won't win anything with it. Because, like you said, you can't defend and win, and you shouldn't defend and win. I think that's the big point, is you shouldn't have that mentality. You shouldn't go that way to win. It's not respectable. It's not how you want to win. If we won defending for that long and did it again in the final, I wouldn't be impressed. You'd say, yeah, fuck it, we won. But you wouldn't be so proud. Whereas you do look at the Mexican game and Mexico game, and you do look at the Norway game. Sure, we defended, but it was in the last bits, and there was reasons for it. This one seemed a bit panicky, a bit ridiculous. think a lot of the positives we can take from this is it sets us in good stead again. The lessons we've learned, the characters have developed, the pressure, I think, gets less because we get more comfortable being in the final. How many have we made in the recent times that it might start becoming a bit of a norm for England, as long as the media don't push that we bottle it towards the end? And it is about your run, and it is about the luck that you get. I mean, you watch that game and you do say Argentina do deserve to win that game because of the decisions we made and how we started playing and how they started playing and how they went for it. They risked it as well. Don't get that twisted. But at the end of the day, it is a fascinating thing and a positive thing because it does bring the country together. It does bring everyone together. These last two coaches have uplifted in like football for England, have inspired us in a sense and give us hope. We all want to watch. We all want to go out and watch it in the pub and turn up to fan zones and chant and celebrate and be passionate and beep as you're walking down the street because you're an England fan. It has uplifted things, and if we keep that momentum, it is only time. We are knocking on the door, and if we carry on, we will win. That's the positive you can take from it. We just have to learn from our mistakes, which I don't know if we did from the last time. I thought we might have with the manager we put in place, but it doesn't seem like the result shows that. But he might learn. He might go for it. At the end of the day, this is his first international tournament on a big scale like this. The pressure. It's the first time for a lot of the players as well to be under this amount of pressure, to be in this circumstance. But I think the media and everyone will complain, but as it settles, I think we will be a bit prouder. We will enjoy what happened, even though we can blame the manager, but at least we're not blaming the players, and that's a positive because the players are the people that do it. Unfortunately, the tactical decision was wrong, but that can be changed. Hopefully that can be learned from. And we can change this mindset of being desperate. And same within life. You apply what's happening in these situations to life. And you can learn from these mistakes that they're making, of the desperation. And sitting back when you've got to go for it. You've got to go out your comfort zone. And sometimes you've got to risk things. You've got to really go for what you want. But yeah, peace.